Well, hello everyone, this is Square Triangle Mouse, and as you probably already know, there's been an expansion announced for Civilization 6. It's called Gathering Storm, and as we can see here, it's going to be released on PC on February the 14th. So, yep, that's nice. And I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it because, as you probably already know if you're familiar with this channel, I have played all 6 Civilization games. I'm old enough to have played the first one when it came out. And some of the things that were announced for this Gathering Storm expansion were actually already available in previous games. Some of them were fun, some of them were not so fun. They were removed at some point because they were a bit boring during the end game. But I think they gave them a new twist for Civilization 6, probably learning from the boring parts of those old games, so they could make them a lot more fun this time. And I'm quite excited about it, and I wanted to talk about this. So, well, we have a very nice announcement here at the Civilization official website. A few images with some of the new stuff is being shown here. I think this building is something I hadn't seen before. I don't know anything about the new civilizations. It looks like the Maori will probably be there or something like that. I don't know. There are a lot of rumors. I'm not going to get deep into that. I don't really care about rumors and stuff like that. We see a canal here, so we have the canal district now, or we will have the canal district on February next year. That's very nice. Remember, we had canals in Civilization 4. They weren't called canals, they were forts, but they could be used as canals. So we will have them again in Civilization 6. I think that's good. That's always nice. What do we have here? A few more images. This stuff, it looks like some futuristic thing. I don't know. I know that this expansion will also get a little bit into the future, as they say here. So that's also very nice. I really like this image. I don't know why, I just like it. It has a bunch of things. Anyway, we have natural disasters. We see here a volcano. Yeah, that seems scary. A volcano next to your great wonders. Anyway, let's take a look at the things, okay? So we have environmental effects: volcanoes, storms, climate change, floods, and drought. So what did we have before? In Civilization 3, for example, we already had volcanoes. I don't remember if we had them in the first 2 games. Well, we didn't have the graphic, that's for sure. But I don't remember if pollution appeared as a result of volcano eruptions. I'm pretty sure it didn't happen in the first one, and almost sure that it didn't happen in the second one. But we did have volcanoes in Civilization 3. But basically you had mountains that were volcanoes, and then randomly at some point they could erupt and create basically some sort of pollution that could ruin the tiles. They would give you very low yields, and then you would have to send your workers there and clean those tiles, and then you could use them again. And they were a bit annoying, but at some point you would have so many workers that it would just be like routine, cleaning cleaning lava every now and then. And it didn't really add so much to the game. But in this one, it looks like you can predict them. It looks like they can change the terrain forever, so that could be a little bit more fun. Same with storms. I think this stuff, it was a bit random in Civilization 4. According to what they say in this article, it looks like these storms are going to appear in certain areas, certain regions. You could have them even at sea and maybe lose units, which I think could be a little bit annoying. It could add a little bit of randomness to the game, which I'm not sure I like. But if there are more mechanics into the game, like stuff you can add to your ships so they don't sink so easily and things like that, I think it could be fun, and if you learn to distinguish the area, like there are certain areas in the map that have more tornadoes or more, sea storms or whatever, then that could have some logic. There will be some sense to it. It won't be so random as it was in the past. And I think that could be a lot of fun. But this kind of thing is always risky, okay? Because you have to really check how much randomness you want to add to a strategy game. So it's always a risk. Climate change. So from the very first civilization until civilization 4, we had climate change. So the more factories you had, the more production you had, the more you could pollute, and then pollution would appear in the first couple of games in tiles, and then if those tiles were affected by pollution, they would again lower your yields, but something similar to the volcanoes in Civ 3. Okay, you just needed to bring your workers and clean the pollution, and that was it. They didn't really add so much there. So it was kind of an annoyance during the end game, and usually during the end game, if you're already doing well, you have a lot of workers, and it's not a big deal. It's just building them and sending them to clean the pollution, and that's it. Kind of repetitive, actually. In Civilization 4, it was a little bit more interesting because it could get tiles that were plains, for example, and turn them into desert, but you wouldn't be able to clean that. Okay, that just happened, and that's it. And you lost a good tile, and so it turned into desert, and it sucks. And that was a bit more interesting, a bit harder, of course, but also a bit more interesting. I think I kind of liked that a little bit better. That being said, though, at some point I got to play Civ 4 really well, and the game would usually be over before climate change actually appeared. But it's going to be interesting how you can adapt to that, how new technologies give you, green energy and stuff like that, so you can avoid a lot of climate change, at least in your terrain. I don't know, it's going to be interesting if you have to balance, at some point during the industrialization era, balance your factories with concerns about how it's going to affect your late game. So I don't know how balanced will it be, but it could be interesting. Again, it's difficult. It's really difficult to make it fun, but they have the experience now from the previous games. They know what works and what doesn't work, and I think it could be interesting because Civilization 6 tends to go more into the late eras than, for example, Civilization 4, where once you get really good at the game, you never. It never takes you so long to win. So this could be interesting. Let's see how it goes. And this stuff, of course, again, it can be interesting. Maybe this early game could be a bit punishing. I just hope they don't make it too random again. Randomness is not a lot of fun. But I want to see how tiles change throughout the game and how you have to adapt to that. I think tiles changing throughout the game because of climate change is actually interesting. It can be, as I said, very punishing. It can add a lot of challenge to the game, but I kind of like that. I think Civilization 6, especially at launch, was too easy. Even with Rise and Fall, it's still a rather easy game, and I hope that this extra challenge actually makes it more fun. So power and consumable resources. So these resources are now consuming power plants to generate electricity for your cities. Initially, you'll be powering your most advanced buildings by burning carbon-based resources like coal and oil, but renewable energy sources also unlock as you progress to current day technologies. And yeah, so again, how much this affects to the game is really going to be the key here. Like, if this creates a big impact for the late game, then it's going to be interesting. If it doesn't impact so much, then it's going to be rather boring. So right now you want to build factories immediately, as soon as you can. And if you have to consider climate change in the game, maybe you'll have to think about how many factories you want and how strategically do you place them. And that could be interesting. That can add more planning to the industrial era, and I like that. Engineering projects. So shape the world around your empire. Sorry, let's highlight this so it's easier for you to know where I am. Shape the world around your empire to overcome unfavorable land conditions by making improvements like canals, dams, tunnels, and railroads. Okay, so railroads are back. That's interesting. Let's see how that goes. Right now the roads are only just automatically improving, and that's it. I want to see if this adds a little bit more depth to that. Tunnels, interesting to go through mountain tiles. We never had that in previous games, so that's going to be interesting. I think in Civilization 3 you could actually walk through mountain tiles, just in general, like any unit could do it. It took a bunch of movement points, but that's it. I think actually the first two games you could do that as well, if I remember correctly. Then starting Civ 4 you couldn't move through mountains anymore, and now it looks like we will be able to do it, but with tunnels only. I like that, it gives more depth. As I said already, I like the idea of the building canals. And you have to consider when building cities the flood risk, coastal lowland areas, but then you can protect them late game, of course. But will the flood risk early game be, would it make sense to build a lot of coastal cities if they're going to slow you down early game? Will the AI be too dumb and get its cities flooded all the time? Will this make I don't know, island maps easier because the AI will not know how to prevent flooding? A lot of things could happen here. I want to see this in practice. I think it can be interesting, but they have to balance it very well, and especially this kind of thing, this kind of risks. It's very important that they program the AI good enough so that the AI knows how to deal with this, but at the same time they don't become too overpowered. So balancing the difficulty here is going to be difficult. World Congress is back. I think that's fine. I didn't hate the diplomatic victory in previous games, so I'm okay with them bringing the diplomatic victory back to the game. A lot of people hated the diplomatic victory in Civilization 5. I personally didn't. There were other things that I hated about Civilization 5, but I did not hate the diplomatic victory, so that's fine. And also diplomacy is going to be changed, so you have now diplomatic favors and other things that are going to change how the agendas work. So you don't have any more warmonger penalties. Now you're going to have people liking you better or less for other reasons, and that's going to be interesting because honestly the biggest problem in my opinion for Civilization 6 is diplomacy. Diplomacy sucks in this game, just plain and simple. It was really terrible at the beginning. It's slightly better now, but only because it was so terrible at the beginning that anything they did was an improvement, of course. But it's still pretty bad. It's still pretty bad. The warmonger penalties, they just last too long. They're a bit dumb. How the warmonger penalties works throughout the eras, I don't like it at all. They somehow think that civilizations were, they were more wars in the ancient times and less wars in contemporary times. I don't agree with that historical view at all. And anyway, it doesn't matter. Realism really doesn't matter. What matters is whether it's fun or not, and I don't think it's fun at all. You have a lot of wars early game and very little wars late game. And that happens in every game because that's how the AI is programmed to behave. And that's just boring. I don't like it. So hopefully this will change things, all of these diplomatic favors and the change to warmonger penalties. I really hope it gets better now. There is a lot of room for improvement in diplomacy. So hopefully with them implementing the diplomatic victory again, they will really work hard on redoing the whole diplomacy system so that it starts working. I have really high hopes on this, mostly because I just don't like the way diplomacy was handled in Civilization 6 until now. So, next step, 21st century. Okay, so this is nice. Now, in Civilization 4, there was a sort of a scenario / mod that it was called Next War. So it went a little bit further into the futures, like with new technologies, right? New technologies that kind of futuristic technologies, futuristic units, and so on, that would give you a sort of idea of future war. It was a bit fun to play. I didn't dislike it completely. When you got bored of the main game, it could be interesting to take a look at it. How this is going to be implemented into the main game, honestly, I don't know. Okay, the whole predicting the future, this thing here. how much fun can they do this within the main game? You know what I mean? Because first of all, a lot of times you're not going to get here. You're going to win the game before this happens. So I guess this will only happen if people go for scientific victories, or if you disable everything and only allow the score victory or something like that. So I don't know if it's going to add a lot to the main game. I think it worked as a scenario in Civilization 4, but I don't know if it's going to work as part of the main game. Honestly, I don't know. I just don't know if games are going to last until then. Let's see what happens. Anyway, it's interesting that they add it, and you can always, sorry, you could always just start games in the information era, so you can play a lot of this stuff. I can see myself doing that just to play a different type of game. So yeah, anything that adds variety is good. New leaders and civs, as I said, we don't know exactly which leaders and civs will appear in this game, so I will not talk about rumors. I will just wait for announcements and then talk about the main thing. New scenarios, so a couple of new historical scenarios, and I'm quite happy about this. If you watch my channel, you know that I have played all of the scenarios, all the historical scenarios of Civilization 6 on Diddy difficulty. I have shown you guys how to win all of them. I think it's fun to play them. Of course, you only end up playing them, a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times until you dominate them, and then you don't play it again. But still, it's fun. It's a few hours that you spend there, maybe an extra 5 hours, maybe extra 10 hours. I don't know, depending on how long it takes you to master them. But it's an extra piece of fun that you get with the game, and I like them. I like historical scenarios. So we have the Black Death, and we have the First World War scenario. So yeah, this could be fun. I think we had a scenario about the Black Plague before, or I just remember playing a lot of the Civilization 4 Rise and Fall mod, which was a historical mod, and so you would always get a lot of plague during the 14th century in Europe. Anyway, either way, I think this will be fun. And I'm definitely going to make videos when this comes out, showing you how to win these scenarios on Diddy at some point. So more new content, 7 new world wonders, more natural wonders, more units, 18 new units. That's quite a lot of new units. So I imagine maybe if we get 8 new civilizations, that we will get 8 new unique units, and then 10 more general units. Still though, 10 more general units is still quite a lot. It's still fun. 15 new improvements. That's a lot of new improvements. We hardly ever had so many builder improvements in a civilization game. I think actually this is going to be the most builder improvements we ever had. So quite impressive there. 9 new buildings, 5 new districts, 2 new city sets, 9 new techs, and 10 new civics. So yeah, that's all good. We're going to have to learn about these new techs and civics to see how we put them into our strategy. And then, of course, espionage system has been enhanced with new options. I cannot say much about them. They didn't add much about this part here. But I'm happy about it. I think espionage was a very relevant part of the game already in Civilization 6, but also kind of a repetitive part of the game, because I would always use spies for basically the same things, sabotaging, spaceports, and, well, how we use spies, right? To stop the AI from winning, basically. So if we have new stuff, that's going to be interesting. Maybe it adds a little bit of variety, which is always good. And culture and science victories have been updated. Okay, let's see how this changed. This could be very interesting. I don't think the science victory needed any updates. I think it's fine as it is. The same stuff about the spaceship, only now it's Mars instead of Alpha Centauri, and you have several Mars parts that you have to build. That was already a good twist on the usual scientific victory, so I think it was good enough as it was. The cultural victory, though, it was a bit easy, so if there's a little bit of challenge there, that's going to be fun. I don't know what's going to change though, but I like that all of this stuff suggests that we will have to adapt our strategies, because there are a few ways in which you can almost always win this game. So I like that they will force us to adapt strategies that will add variety. That will be a good reason, at least for me, to buy this expansion. And new historic moments. Okay, fine. Historic moments, it's fine. It's just, the new thing of Rise and Fall with all the golden ages and so on. But it's more of a cosmetic part of the game, I think. Of course, the historic moments add to your strategy. The type of historic moment you want. If you want to get more points quicker and so on. So yeah, new historic moments. That's going to be interesting when we're planning our golden ages. But I'm not so hyped about this part here. And additional improvements. Okay, I don't know what these additional improvements might be. We already have a video out there. They already released a video of the first gameplay. I haven't seen it yet. I will take a look maybe later, but I think I will actually check their gameplays a bit later when we are closer to the release date and everything has been polished a little bit better. Anyway, it looks good in general. I like almost everything, but I should say that this stuff, it's going to be hard for them to balance it. I just hope they don't add too much randomness. I hope there is always something you can do about these volcanoes, something you can do about these floods, to adapt your strategy to be ready for them. If you can adapt your strategy and play around them, then it's going to be a lot of fun. If it's just random natural disasters like we had in Civ 4, for example, or just a volcano erupting lava like we had in Civ 3, and that's it. Some tiles get lava and that's it, and there's nothing you can do about it, then it's not going to be so much fun. So yeah, let's see how they balance this stuff, how they implement it, how the AI reacts to this stuff or adapts to these natural issues. And I really hope they master it this time. They had it in previous games. It wasn't previous games. It wasn't a lot of fun, but I really want ecology, the whole global warming issue being applied to the game in a way that it's actually fun. It has been a challenge so far in the first 4 games, so much of a challenge that they actually completely removed it from Civilization 5, but I like that they, instead of going the easy route, instead of just removing this whole thing, now they are trying to actually make it work. I think that's brave, and I will give a shot at this expansion. I will almost certainly try it, and we'll see in February. Until then, though, I will keep doing just normal videos. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on this? Have you played the old Civilization games? Do you think they will be able to make natural events fun and not just added randomness? What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.